beautiful day. Well, I'm going to get started. I'm just glad to see everyone. And for those of you who received their little goodie bags, I hope you have your hot chocolate and you got your cute little pad and your Cheryl's cookie and candy and your little trinkets. It was fun delivering them. I just wanted to have some fun today just to recognize the holidays. And I don't think anybody got an ugly sweater but me.
I put one on. I changed.
But I am
Whoa, Chris!
it's not a sweater, but I love it.
Close
It's
enough.
old as dirt, so, but I love it. And you know the comic strip Cassie, right? Perfect for this
Yeah.
shit, right? So, so it was a lot of fun. Hey, Bridget, did you get your bag? Good, good, awesome. And then I had forgotten somebody's cookies, so I had to kind of double back and run and drop off cookies again.
I appreciate it.
I got to tell y'all, had it been snow and ice, you would have missed out. I'm just saying. But if everybody got a cookie, great. I had to keep them from my son because he's a Cheryl's cookie fanatic. So that was a chore. Anyway, I got it done and I'm glad to see everyone. So welcome to the holiday version of the Wyland Park Civic Association. Of course, we wanted to have it a little earlier so everyone can enjoy the time we do have for the holidays, and we can just proceed with our business that we do have. So I would just like to start it off with an icebreaker. And I would like you to just tell me your favorite holiday memory. You know, I'm sure there's lots, but there has to be one that was very specific to you. So keep it short, sweet, and brief, but we'd love to hear it. So who wants to go first?
Ashley and I started a family tradition just within our family, I think a decade or more ago now, where that we call Christmas sushi. And ordinarily we would have some friends over and we would make a bunch of sushi. That might have to go virtual this year. But it's always a sweet memory to make and eat a ton of sushi together.
I love it.
Right. Yes. Sushi. Oh, yes. That sounds like a lot of fun. Great. Who wants to go next?
I don't know what mine
You can say a tradition if you like. That makes it easier.
I'm happy to go next.
Hi,
I'm Jody Poth. Hi, Tanya. I'm Jody Poth. I live on Cromartie, and one of my favorite holiday traditions is baking cookies and then delivering them to people. And so I hope to be able to do that this year and just
Oh
leave
my
them.
God, we're gonna pass each other on the street. I've been doing it since I've lived out here.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, maybe we'll pass an exchange on the street.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll go next too. One of my favorite holiday memories was one year when they had the big giant hill over there where you all live now, Jody. And it happened to be, it was before Christmas break, but it happened to be a snow day. And so the kids were ecstatic. And it was about this time of night, and we all decided to go to the hill. So we all got dressed up and in about 6 layers of clothes, and our arms were out, so we couldn't put our hands down. But we get up to the hill, and I'm walking my dog that I had at the time, Zeus. And and this hill is just covered with snow. And we get to the hill, and my dog is a husky, and he's a musher, and he decided out of the blue just to start mushing down that hill. And I'm intact with him, and the thing was wrapped around me, so he just dragged me down that hill, and I literally rolled down that hill like a snowball. And when I stood up, I was covered head to toe with snow. It was packed, and I had to do this, and my family, they laughed at me, and it was so funny. And they laughed, and for that whole season, I was the abominable snowman. So, but we had the absolute best time that night, and it was a great kickoff to our holiday. So I'll always remember that.
I guess we could go next. So I'm Jackie, and this is my husband, Drew. We live in the Grant Park Apartments, and probably one of our favorite things to do at Christmas. We're both from Chicago originally, so we love to go to Zoo Lights, which they have there, and in Columbus, and that's where we got engaged too.
That's nice. That's nice.
Hi, I'm Brittany Warner. I actually live over by Jody on Cromartie Lane. Favorite Christmas tradition. Our family always does Christmas Eve Mass and then finger foods and Christmas movie on Christmas Eve night. So that's always what I look forward to around the holidays.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
I'll jump in for us. This is Tyler Bender, Matt Adair, and Michael Wilkos. We all live at 216-218 East 9th. My favorite memory, I think, for Christmas was when I was a little kid. We used to get those little gold chocolate coins. They look like coins with gold foil around. And my brothers and I used to think that they were like valuable. So we kept the foil around it like in a perfect shape, so it would still look like a coin, so we could maybe use it in the future for I don't know what reason.
Mine is probably just watching Christmas Vacation, like after Christmas brunch, and then opening presents. We watch Christmas Vacation every year, so it's really fun.
And Michael Wilkos, live next door. My favorite memory would be my mom and dad and two sisters and I. We would drive around and look at Christmas lights. And there was this one house that would always go way overboard. And my dad used to always refer to the person as the Mad Russian. And I thought my dad knew the guy and I thought he was from Russia. But my dad just thought, well, if you have to put that many lights on your house, you must be Russian and you must be mad. So.
That's funny.
Thanks,
guys.
Say hi.
Hi.
Say what your name is, where you live.
My name is Peyton. I live on North Grant Avenue.
Holiday.
And my favorite memory is going to Jamaica with the family.
Wow, I want to come to your house for Christmas.
Yeah,
that is.
I want your holiday tradition.
So that has become a tradition. Instead of a bunch of gifts, we basically do like a family vacation somewhere warm. And the past couple years pre-COVID, we went to Jamaica and loved it. So that will be the first thing that our travel plan. And once the vaccine comes out or the world returns to some kind of normal or whatever, we will be in Jamaica.
Wow.
Nice.
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 I'm jealous, Kaden.
I'm just spending Christmas with them, that's all. Anyone else?
I'll go next. This is Chris Michiki. I'm the treasurer of the Civic. When I was growing up in the Canton area, I'd go up to downtown Cleveland Public Square to look at the Christmas lights up there. But now that I've lived in Columbus, I think the Columbus Comets has a pretty nice setup down there. So
They
a
do.
newer tradition for me.
Great. Chris, have you been to the conservatory too at Franklin Park?
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah.
Theirs is pretty great, pretty cool too. Okay, awesome.
Tanya, I'll go. This is Chad. Mine's super boring. A tradition in my family was our stockings were never filled. Unlike Tyler, who got the gold coins, I believe that's who said that. We got fruit. So I got oranges and apples. And so as a child, I didn't know candy. And so, yeah, I carried that on. And as my son grew up, I also put fruit in his stocking. He did not like those.
That's funny. It's never too late. You can always start putting candy in his stocking. Anyone else before we begin?
I missed the question, Tanya, sorry. I had a little trouble logging in.
Okay.
What was the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was, what is your favorite Christmas memory? Or you can say a tradition as well.
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite Christmas memory, but I was 15. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers. And we never opened any gifts until Christmas morning. And I remember I got up and I got this big package. I opened it. It was a dictionary, which I still have, that my mom got free for reading those love stories. I can't remember them right now. Harlequin romances. And it was a giant dictionary. And that was my Christmas gift. And we couldn't complain. So, I won't forget that ever. Yeah.
It's like getting socks and underwear, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's funny. Cool.
Hey, I joined in late with the video. I'm Matt. We're on 1404 North 6th. So hi, everyone.
Hi,
and probably our favorite tradition, my family gets together. I have 4 brothers. And there's a homemade game that we have called Marsh Ball. And so it's basically a bunch of different cups set up, and then we use marshmallows, and it's kind of like baseball, I guess, like the rules of it. And we like to play that. So it becomes a big competition, and we all just have a great time. So, yeah.
Sounds like
fun. This is Susan. I'm sorry, I just joined in as well. And as you all know, I'm from Buffalo. And so my favorite memory is going sledding during the winter time and opening up gifts on, Christmas morning with my twin brother. So it was fun. So those bring back good memories and good times and stuff.
2 things I didn't know about Susan. She's from Buffalo and she's a twin. How about that?
Right. Wait. I'm a twin. I'm a twin that was married to a triplet. So most people don't know that yet.
Wow.
Right, exactly.
So I didn't know, I never knew that you were a twin. My brother and sister are twins and they're a year younger than me, 13 months.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so the 3 of us were all small together. So my dad would make us wait at the top of the stairs on the top stair. And he would go downstairs and he would make coffee and he would come back and be like, well, I still have to get the cinnamon. Like he would come up with all these, we would just be like dying at the top of the he would stretch it out as long as possible.
He loved it, didn't he? That's funny. Those are great. Sleigh rides, man, those are great. That's great too.
I don't know if you guys knew, but I do have a identical twin as well. We're 2 minutes apart.
Unbelievable.
Who is that talking? I'm sorry.
Chris, right here.
Oh, really? Do you really?
Yeah.
Wait, so Chris, are you from, you're from Ohio, right?
I grew up in the Canton area.
So is this, so at Wineland Park, the school, there were at least 3 twins at the school. And so someone had commented that this is like common in Ohio. Is that true? Like,
in my high school class in North Canton, we had 7 or 8 sets just in my graduating class. Yeah, we had a whole bunch.
Must be the radon, right?
And they have
Is everyone related?
Right?
I think you did.
I don't know.
You guys have heard of Twinsburg, Ohio, right?
I was going to say that. Yeah, that's up in the Cleveland area. They have an annual festival up there.
Twins, absolutely. In Parents Strengthening Parents, we have like 4 or 5 sets of twins just in our group. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. That was fun. It was really good to get to know you all a little better and to find out what your favorite memories are, because those are very important. So let's jump into the agenda. And we're actually invited Chad Kettler to come and speak with us about what's going on with the CPO and the building that is the OD&J building. And he just wanted to just give us a little information about that.
All right, you turn it over to me, Tanya?
I did.
All right, thank you. So I think some of you may know, or I've communicated with some folks about this, and I know there's been some discussion, so I'm grateful. Thank you for inviting me to be here to the larger Civic to be able to talk about what's happening. For those of you on the call that don't know me, I'm Chad Kettler with Community Properties of Ohio, and we have quite a few affordable housing units in the Wyland Park area. So we've been a longstanding neighbor and appreciate the partnership with the Civic Association and the strong leaders, as well as all the neighbors. We also, 5 years ago, about 5 years ago, I guess, through the Columbus Foundation, Campus Partners, and Ohio Capital, gained control of the D&J Carryout, which is located there on 4th. I think you're all familiar with it. With the intent for CPO to control that site until it could be repurposed into something viable for a community asset into the community. And that wasn't necessarily designed that CPO would do it, but we were exploring lots of options, especially in the first 2 to 3 years. We vetted out potentially doing a fresh market, a laundromat. There were lots of ideas floating out there, none of which did we nearly raise any of the dollars we needed. We secured some funding early on, but it was a small fraction, and that was through the Columbus Foundation. That was only a small fraction of what we would need to actually save that site. The building has been in serious disrepair, even decades before CPO took it on. And the situation is now we are really concerned about the safety of the neighborhood, our staff, and quite honestly, people that are seeking shelter from the weather. We have been battling for quite some time. Folks squatting in there, I'm really concerned somebody's going to get hurt. The structure of the building is not safe. We've had one of our maintenance staff has been injured on the site. And so we are moving towards a demolition of the building. We're working with the city. I don't have a time frame for you right now, but I will say it's likely going to be within the next couple months, hopefully by the first of the year. But I wanted to bring that to you guys because, you know, over the years, as we've explored options or partners that might want to take on this venture of redeveloping the site, that was the hope. But as things have progressed, with the deterioration, we feel it's in the best interest for everybody that that building does come down. As you know, the 8th Avenue and Indianola in 2019, a vacant building over there caught fire and destroyed 4 of our units, as well as another unit on Indianola. And we did a great job at restoring that building. But that's just one of the hazards I'm concerned about with the condition of the building. We also had a building over on the east side. Some of you may be aware that squatters got in and they blew up. We were managing those for CMHA. Some people were seriously hurt. The building was leveled to the ground, quite honestly. So we are in a position where we're not willing to continue with the liability of the condition of that building. So I wanted to bring that to you guys and answer any questions you may have about the demolition, but that's where we're headed.
Thank you, Chad. Does anyone have anything they want to say or any questions that they have for Chad?
What are your plans?
So honestly, Laura, right now, I will tell you, we are exploring an option that I'm not ready to talk about just yet. Today, I wanted to talk about the demolition. My hope is that we'll be able to come back in the future with some partners to be able to talk about potential opportunities. But right now, my plan is to just continue to hold the land so that it can become a community asset.
So demolished completely, will there be grass on it or will it just be rubble? Will it be
No,
fenced in?
It likely won't be fenced in, but we will level the land and make sure that it's seeded.
Okay.
And we'll continue to maintain it and, you know, make sure that if there's any issues on the site, we would want to make sure that that was addressed, so.
Could you tell us more about what the options are that would preserve the building that you have chosen not to pursue?
When you say to preserve the building, are you talking about the nearly $1 million it would take to get it in the shape it needs to be?
No, I'm talking about two options to have other people redevelop the site.
Two options. Which options are those, Laura?
One of those is Columbus Landmarks has indicated interest in purchasing the building and putting a preservation easement on it to save the building because it's an important part of Wineland Park's history. Another of the options that I'm aware of is someone who wants to do a rehab of the building and make it into a commercial space with 2 apartments above. He considers the building quite salvageable.
And who's that?
His name is Greg Davis. He's been in touch with Ted Parsons at your organization.
Ted Pearson, yep. Greg Davies?
Davis.
Well, that, I know that Columbus, Jim Sweeney did send me an email just this week. He's not been in any dialogue with me about that. I don't know if he's had dialogue with you, but nobody, until just 2 days ago, Jim had not reached out to me about the site, and I'm not familiar with Greg Davies being interested.
Laura, is that the code enforcement guy at the City of Columbus, or is that someone else?
Different person. He has experience with rehabbing buildings of this kind in Indiana and others. I think he bought a property that CPO actually sold him up on 15th Avenue. I haven't looked at it yet, but he's been inside the building. I think Pearson is his last name, who's the maintenance and property director at CPO, showed him the building not long after it was acquired by CPO. And so I think the point that I want to make is that the building is far from unsalvageable, and it's not $1 million project. It's a project that's within the reach of commercial redevelopment.
This is Erin Prosser. I just, from Campus Partners, as the owner that, transferred it to CPO, the intention with that was that 4th and 8th would really become a community asset that we could, as we looked at both the acquisition of 4th and 11th and 4th and 8th, that was really the location for that. And the steward that we really wanted for that corner was CPO. And there is not a greater entity in the Wineland Park neighborhood that has preserved as much of the fabric as CPO has. Both in the historic district, which a number of their properties are, but also in just the totality of the neighborhood. And if there's we really entrusted CPO to be the manager that could evaluate this property and really understand what the options were to best serve the community. And that's why we wanted to transfer the property to CPO and let them be the entity that evaluated the viability of the property.
I don't want this to be a one-on-one argument about this situation, but I think there's an alternate view, which is that, first of all, it's not about whether CPO has been a fantastic and constructive neighbor to this neighborhood. There's no question about that. CPO has done everything fantastic for this neighborhood. It's about this specific individual property, and the fact that the neighborhood is being asked to trust that CPO is made the best and only evaluation of the property without sharing that information with the neighborhood in terms of what the condition of the property really is. It's a longstanding preference in the university area that demolitions don't happen in the absence of a concrete plan for what's going to be put in place of that property. I think the neighborhood is being asked to give up a very significant piece of neighborhood history in return for no concrete plan. And I think the fact that there are 2 other entities who are willing to use that building for something constructive means that it is not an unsalvageable property. And so I think simplifying this situation into an either or, like you can use it for a morally good purpose or you could save the building is really a false dichotomy that doesn't serve Columbus long-term and doesn't serve this neighborhood. There are long-term residents of this neighborhood who have history with that building. It's a very usable building that knits into the fabric of our neighborhood, and it's worth consideration. And I think demolition, in my opinion, without a plan for something to do next, is giving up something permanently in exchange for basically a promise. And I think sharing plans like this at a holiday meeting where there's 15 people here out of the whole neighborhood is completely irresponsible on the part of someone who, entities like Campus Partners and CPO, who have been long-term friends of this neighborhood. I think if you wanted to know what the neighborhood thought, you could seek the neighborhood's input. And this is not an acceptable forum, in my mind, for this discussion. And I'll let other people. It's not all about me.
When might you have plans for what could happen next?
So, I will say, Matt, I know that there's some things moving forward, and I don't want to bring to light something that may not happen. So I want to make sure that I talk with the partner that potentially is interested in this before I make any commitments. I apologize that I don't have a plan, Laura, that I can share. But I will tell you that there is something that may be coming that we would like to come back to the Civic Association and the community to share some possibilities. But right now, I'm not going to put that out there.
And one thing I'll say, just, in the conversations that we've had amongst the partners that were originally involved in the acquisition of these sites, there is a finite amount of philanthropic dollars. And when we look across the landscape and we look at the opportunities and we look at this particular building, there is an extraordinary amount of resources that would have to be dedicated into this building. It doesn't mean that there's not a respect for the building or this particular corner, or that there couldn't be a new building that's homage to the setback and the space that building has occupied. It's not foregoing all of that. But, Chad, long before CPO owned it, there was a DIY set of skylights that were put in. Needless to say, were not watertight for a number of decades. The damage to the building is significant, and I have every faith in CPO and the level to which they've truly preserved structures that in a lot of cases a lot of folks would have demolished. And so if there's a case where CPO is and we're looking across the philanthropic landscape at the resources we have to dedicate in this space, we've done that evaluation and we've spent time, and there's been a lot of thought and deliberation around this space that I don't want to be flip about. Like, it is something that is not light that we're bringing this.
I kind of agree with Chad and Laura that there's still interest in the building, number one. And number two, that we probably do need to have a meeting with the Civic, with everyone there, rather than at today's meeting, which is a holiday meeting. I mean, it's nice to hear it, but I've already had my holiday glass out. It's nice to hear everyone's input, but I think it would be great to have a scheduled meeting where everyone can participate in the future of the building or give their opinion. It is Christmas. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it seems like you don't want to share the plans, which makes sense. It's not concrete. Well, I don't necessarily want to be gung-ho for demolition if we don't know what the plans are either. Like, you're just asking us to just be okay with the vacant lot for a while, and who knows. So I think it would make sense to slow down the demolition timeline.
I'm concerned, Matt, about if we get a heavy winter, what's going to happen to that roof. So the liability that CPO is taking on with this building, I'm concerned about that. And so I'm not sure that I see it the same way.
Yeah, you had that liability for like 5 years, right?
Yeah. And it's gotten worse. The building has deteriorated in that time. And it's not.
What was that?
What was
What's
what?
that?
Whose fault was that?
That was the ownership of the building for decades prior to CPO owning it.
That they put in, I don't, you obviously haven't been in the building, but I will tell you, they've put in a makeshift sunroom with plexiglass that we've tried to secure. And in the absence of investing dollars into making it, that's been an ongoing challenge we've had to continue to battle with water damage in that.
I'm just going to have to say, we have asked to get in that building for literally 5 years. And so the fact that we haven't been in that building doesn't mean that we aren't concerned with that building or that there was no chance to get into it. Secondly,
Who is the we, Laura?
The housing,
if I may, who is the we?
The we is the housing committee of the Wineland Park Civic Association, which I have co-chaired for almost 4 years now. And we have literally been asking about the condition of that building since it was acquired. No one has shared that information with us, while everyone has been saying we're making decisions on your behalf. I don't know who else in the neighborhood you all have been talking to, because the Civic Association has been asking you for this for 5 years, literally. And if you buy a building that clearly has roof problems, if you care for that building, then you fix that roof problem. You spent $1 million acquiring those properties, and you couldn't spend the amount of money it would have taken to secure that roof. And now you're telling us, oh my goodness, it's in bad shape. No shit.
Well, the state of the building has been shared and is being shared. And to the extent that we can't trust a community partner to steward that and to manage that and to be honest in a forum like that, I don't know what more we can do as a community.
It's really not about trust. And we trust CPO. It's just weird to demolish it without a plan. And I don't think another month on the timeline, I mean, you're afraid somebody's going to break in illegally and die and then they're going to sue you. Like, you think a homeless person's family is going to sue you for them, the roof collapsing in a building they broke into? I'm not really understanding the liability.
That'd still be tragic,
Guys,
though. I think if
it would be tragic, obviously.
Suffering, should.
And Matt, just so you know, the building on the east side that happened to, the squatters did create a lawsuit against the entity that owned it.
Hi guys, this is Tom O'Brien. I live directly next to the building in the corner of 4th and 8th. I see constantly the squatters hanging out there, and I get woken up constantly by ambulances and police cars addressing overdoses and things like that. I mean, I've talked to Chad multiple times, been very responsive, but would really like to see the building go and that area be secured, because back behind that lot, it's just constant nonsense.
If the building goes, there's another building coming right after it. And I also walk down that corner with my dog, and I do talk to several of the homeless people that are out there. I mean, I totally understand the worry and all, maybe sometimes the stress they cause. But again,
we've been threatened by those homeless people.
Have you really? Yeah,
yes.
I'm right by Indianola Park, a block away, that I also walk around. And
Sure.
I totally understand being threatened and everything else and walking through that park. And I have complained a million times. So I understand that part too.
Yeah.
But one thing, we have so many things knocked down, and we have all these new buildings going up that you don't even recognize the neighborhood anymore. Chad mentioned that the fire on 8th, which is around the corner from where I live, the church where the fire started has been demolished. It's an empty lot. It's a mess. It gets totally overgrown before somebody decides to do something with it. Kids are playing out there. There's garbage. Dogs are going to the bathroom. Nobody cleans up. Nobody's maintaining it. And that's right around the corner from where I live, plus a lot of other stuff I have complained about.
The only thing Georgina, I think we might have lost her, but I do think there's a significant difference between the property owner at that property and CPO.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and Aaron, I think you alluded to it, but I know that it may be a vacant lot for a period of time, but if something is reconstructed there, I think it could do, justice to representing that corner and the community and what that meant, something newer but different. And so I think that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Would just like to toss in that I'm really excited about that corner having a kind of new life and fresh community purpose in a way that it hasn't for a while, and that corner has a long storied history in our neighborhood, and I think we can continue remembering those memories in ways that doesn't always just have to include the physical building itself. And I'm really excited to see what kind of, community purpose ends up being, or what it's used for in that space. I think it's a really pretty critical intersection in the neighborhood, and I'm excited for it to have a positive purpose.
Have you done any kind of inquiry broadly in the neighborhood about whether the broader neighborhood considers it to be a higher purpose for you to think of something in the future, or for there to be some continued commercial purpose for that corner? It was a viable business when it was purchased by
And to be fair, we did go through the commercial study with NDC, with the housing committee, and that corner was not identified as a viable commercial corner. It's 2 one-way streets without a lighted intersection. It's extremely challenging. There is 0 parking. The lot itself is just the building. The lot behind it to the west is not owned by CPO. So there is a limited amount, there's no parking possible.
Erin, your interpretation of the commercial study is not accurate to people who actually worked on that commercial study. Matt asked about that within the Neighborhood Design Commission. It was not evaluated individually as a site within that commercial study. And to say that it's not a valid commercial location when it had a functioning business on it when you bought it makes no sense.
Had a functioning business because they were selling drugs and guns out of that building.
Any corner store could be successful there. There's a developer interested right now in putting another business on that corner.
The economic viability of that corner was reliant on criminal activity. It is not a viable commercial corner. And when we bought the 2 corners, the reasons 4th and 11th is a viable commercial corner, 4th and 8th isn't. And so it was intentionally transferred to CPO so that it would be a community asset and not a commercial corner. That was deliberate and discussed with the neighborhood in a great detail. And that was the reason for the transfer to CPO, is to allow them, as an amazing community partner and a trusted partner that's done really great work in the neighborhood, to be able to repurpose that corner. And the building itself, is there a world in which we could save any building? Absolutely. But it's about the amount of resources we dedicate to the bricks and sticks of that structure versus what resources we can bring to bear on the community asset. And I think we owe CPO the trust that they're going to evaluate what the future user is and what they're going to bring to the community. And that it's not about over dedicating resources from campus partners, from the Columbus Foundation, from CPO, and that we want to take those resources Matt and Chad and I are not decision makers, right? We all answer to boards that have to evaluate these options and what this money goes for. And to be able to bring that corner back as a viable community asset is a real future for that corner. And that's what Chad and we are all dedicated to. And that's why we gave it to CPO, so that would ensure that would be what that corner becomes. And the fact that we can't share details with you at this point, the issue of the structure is that what is happening is that it is too great a resource dedication from a philanthropic dollar standpoint to preserve that building, balanced against the opportunity to bring it to a real community asset for the neighborhood.
I would just remind everyone that after 5 years, there is no plan for that corner. There is no plan for that corner. I mean, we all would like to trust CPO to come up with that plan, but there is no plan. And so we're being asked to give up something very concrete in exchange for something that does not exist.
But Chad did share with me that it really wasn't for CPO to make that decision, that they were basically just the holders, the keeper of the gate of this area for the community to decide. So I think it would be very advantageous of us in the community to be able to decide what we might want there. When I did ask Chad about what, like, okay, I know for years people were asking for laundry. He gave me a good answer in that the water pressure was never going to be good enough to support a laundromat. So, you know, I think there's an opportunity for us here to figure it out what we could have there. Now, Laura, did you say that there was a portion of the building that you would consider having preserved, like the front, the wall, or something like that? Did I hear you say something like that?
I'm sorry, what?
Like the structural wall, like the front of it or something?
No,
I don't know
I'm
if I
saying
heard that.
there are two other entities who would like to purchase that building and preserve it right now.
Well, for the sake of time, why don't we just wait this out and wait until those entities have had a chance to talk to like CPO and campus partners about it?
I mean, Tanya, I respect that, but the reality is that that corner was intended for a community asset. And that was what we've created since 2014 that we bought it. We've entrusted CPO to be that steward, and the building itself is in, I mean, Chad inherited a terrible structure that they had made a boatload of decisions that compromised the structure of that building. Chad said in the beginning, he has had staff people that have been hurt in the building.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That is expressing concerns over what is happening in that building, and the winter is not going to go well. And what we are asking, or not, we're not asking, what is happening is that we are dealing with a structure that is extraordinarily challenged. And we have a finite amount of resources to dedicate to this corner. And the North Star that we're all working towards, that we've been working towards since 2014, is that this corner will be a community asset. And there are a boatload of things that have to get done to get to that end goal. And one of them is the demolition of this property, of the building.
And I guess I would point out that we're not being asked, we're being told. And this is an experience that has happened over time for 5 years. We aren't being asked what the community wants done with this building. We're being told what's going to be done.
So Laura, I do want to address that. So I want to talk about the fact that in the first 3 years, okay, so I'm going to walk through some history here. I was coming to your housing committee meeting. There were things being shared around ideas that were floating, that we were concerned with the condition. We were looking for dollars to try to preserve it, that the cost to CPO was not something we could absorb. And that was in the first 3 years. And I would tell you, I met with Mid-Ohio Food Bank. I met with John Edgar over on Parsons to talk about options of how we could replicate what he had there. So the sense that there's nothing been done, lots have been done there. And this building has gotten lots of attention from the collaborative, and even in the last few years, amidst the 8th Avenue building being basically burnt down and us having to focus there. And then in 2020 with the pandemic, I mean, I need a little bit of a break here in regards to the sense that we're not doing anything, because that's what I feel like I hear you saying, and that's not an accurate representation.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in 5 years, you have done the best you could, and you have not come up with a viable plan for this property. And so we're being asked to agree. We're being told that this building is going to be demolished and that you have a plan that you're not sharing with us. And I have been deeply involved with the housing committee the entire almost 15 years I've lived in Wineland Park. And I have always appreciated CPO's work in this community. It's not about CPO or any failing on part of CPO. It's a question of whether this property is being appropriately cared for from the beginning. I remember you coming to the housing committee one time, and it was a great conversation. And you were talking to us about things that were in the works at that time that you couldn't completely share and that you weren't ultimately able to pursue. But it's not accurate to present it as you've been in touch with the housing committee over 5 years, because that's not true.
So Laura, I've given you multiple updates via email every time you've asked me for a housing committee update.
And I want to separate two things. So one is the demolition of the property. Two is the future use of the property. And yes, I want to be super clear about is that the demolition, regardless of the future use of this property, needs to happen. The building itself is in a condition in which Chad inherited it. There were a lot of decisions made by folks who were not good at building maintenance, who were, as Chad said, doing some DIY operations in that building that compromised the structural integrity. And again, can we save any building? Absolutely. It's a matter of resources, and it's a matter of the ability for the philanthropic community, in this case, for a community asset to come forward. The private sector never bought this property, and they never bought it because it wasn't viable. There was not
for sale. Excuse me, it wasn't for sale. You acquired it and you turned it over to CPO. It wasn't offered for sale. There's a person who wants to renovate that property starting tomorrow.
Laura, what we intended for the corner is to be a community asset. That has always been communicated to the Wineland Park Civic Association. That has always been part of the plan. And so, yes, could you find somebody that would do a renovation of the property? But the point is, it's not going to be a community asset. And that's what we're doing with this corner.
Yeah, I still just think it's weird to say we're going to demolish it. We don't know what we're going to do yet. So I think it'd be great if you could tell us we're going to demolish it and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to be so excited about it. Like, I know it's going to be awesome. I do trust you, but it's weird to say we're going to demolish it and we're not going to tell you what we're going to do yet. That's why it just feels odd to me.
And Matt, unfortunately, sometimes these timelines don't line up well as we'd like them to. And we would really like to be in a position where all of this lined up perfectly, but that's just not the way it's working out. And that is where we are. And it's just a fact of the matter. And I wish there was a different circumstance, and we'll get there, but it's just not the way we have things worked out. And neither Chad nor Matt or I can change that. That's just the circumstance we're living in right now.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you able to, I know you can't give us specifics about what might happen with this potential partnership that you're working with, but can you just speak more broadly, like of what, like what it's going to be or who it will serve? I mean, I understand it's a community asset, but I mean, or are you not able to do that?
Aaron, do you want to take that? I mean, I can speak a little bit broadly about that. I will say that I think that what does become there will be an asset to the community, serving all families and all people that may live in the neighborhood. I will say that regardless what that looks like, I'm going to make a strong play to potentially have some office space there as well, hopefully, where our staff can serve the families that we have in the community. So that may be also another part of the consideration.
But we don't know what it is yet.
You have to look in the camera.
Sorry, it's Rory. But we don't know what the plan is yet, though.
Right.
Mike, can you give us a hint, like the letter or something?
I just want to step back a second. Again, the demolition of the property is not related to what this opportunity is. Like, I don't want to get bogged down on that. What I want to focus on is the fact that it is currently owned by CPO, which is an extraordinary community partner, and that was why it was transferred to them, so that they could make sure that what went back in that space, either hopefully in the beginning, and if you think that myself or Matt or Chad haven't worked our tails off for the last 5 years trying to save that building, you're incorrect.
You guys don't have a great record unless you're really unless your hands held to the fire.
Rory?
I mean, in the past, seriously.
Rory, there is no bigger preservation organization in Wineland Park than CPO. The fabric that they preserved outside of the historic district that they didn't have to. They could have demolished all the other properties that they had outside of the Indianola Historic District. They did not. They reinvested, they maintained that fabric. That was part of why we considered them to be the strong community partner that they were. They don't take this lightly. And Chad alluded at the beginning of the meeting, or not alluded, said that the 8th and Indianola buildings that were damaged during the fire at 8th and Indianola were probably just easier would have been demo and reconstruction, and they didn't do that. So I want to be clear that CPO as an organization in Wineland Park is never taking demolition lightly. Well, and because we can't reveal this future opportunity, because we're not to that place. And to Matt's earlier question, that's an unfortunate situation. We would love for this all to line up, and I would love for the world to work that way. It is not working that way right now. And so that is where we are. We have entrusted this property to an organization that has done more preservation in the neighborhood. You can say whatever you want about Campus Partners, but CPO has really stepped up in that sense. So let's
I understand that they have. I mean, I don't deny that, but I think they can also do it again.
But they are the property owner, and they have time and again proven that when it's possible, they will do it. And in this case, it's not. And it's not been lightly, and it's not been easy decision to come to. This is something that has been a struggle, but we have an opportunity on the property. Can we disclose it? No, not yet. And that's just the way it is right now. And I wish it wasn't the case, but that's where we are.
I'd like to jump in and say something. I think everyone's opinions on this are clearly a little heated right now, and I think it's a very important topic to discuss, possibly at the next meeting, and in the best interest of our holiday meeting and our joyous occasion gathering here, I would like to motion to move on.
I think that's a great motion, because I think that we need to respect the time of the other two speakers that are going to be on. So I do know that the Housing Committee is going to continue this discussion in January, correct, Laura?
We are going to hear more from the developer who contacted us, who says he was in touch with you, Chad, and I'm not sure why you're unaware of this. He's going to come to talk to us about what he would like to do with the property. I'm not sure that it makes sense for him to talk to us if you say you are not aware of him at all. I'm not sure why that is.
So are you talking about the landmarks?
No, I'm talking about Greg Davis.
Yeah, Greg Davis has never talked to me.
Well,
not to be confused with the code enforcement officer, not that Greg Davis.
Different person.
But I do want to say, let's move on. So I thank you guys so much for this very, very intense discussion. But let's just keep it tuned in to see what happens with this situation, because I do want the best outcome for everybody, and I do want it to be something that the community can get behind and all be proud of.
May I ask one more very simple question? I was under the impression that CPO is going to have a meeting tomorrow at which a decision is made related to this property. Is that true?
I have a completely clear calendar tomorrow. I'm not sure what meeting you're referring to.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys. So Michael Wilkos has a little presentation that he wanted to talk to us about as well. And then Catherine, I see you, is going to talk to us a little bit about some resources that we have in the community, and give us, on behalf of the Columbus Police, our monthly state of the community statement, because Officer Smith is having technical issues. Right, Catherine? Okay. So Michael, you ready? And thank you all, everybody, again for that discussion.
Thank you, Tanya. So many of you have probably been following the proposed mixed-use mid-rise building at King and High across from Kroger. It's being proposed by Collegiate Design Group, and they are getting very close to agreeing with the Denison Place neighborhood about some of the remaining issues that they want to address before they get approval. But I want to focus on the grass lot by Kroger, and that is in the approved plan in 2008. The ordinance created a CPD, and in that CPD, there was supposed to be a building built on that grass lot. That has not happened. There is belief that Kroger didn't really want to build out that site because the store has been so popular. They really don't want the competition from other retail businesses in what could be a 9,000 square foot building to be competing with sometimes a busy parking lot. However, if you know the beautiful historic gas station that sits just south of the Exterminator, Collegiate Design Group is willing to give that building for free to anyone who would like to move it. So the Denison Place Civic Association I've been working with, they have agreed to a letter that I've shared with Tanya, and they're seeking our additional support that simply states, we would like to pursue a conversation with the City of Columbus's Development Department to look into the CPD and try to, if you will, put Kroger's feet a little bit to the fire to say, either build a building on that grass lot as you were supposed to do and complete the High Street streetscape, or maybe move that historic garage across the street, gas station garage across the street, and allow one or two of the businesses that are in that block an opportunity to relocate and stay in the neighborhood. So essentially, I'm just looking for a thumbs up or thumbs down from this group that says, do you agree that Tanya should sign this letter on behalf of the Civic Association to begin a dialogue with the Development Department about getting that site on High Street developed? What questions, and whether it's build a building, let one of the historic buildings that might get demolished for the mixed-use development move. It doesn't really matter to us what happens, but obviously a grass lot that has no plantings, no vegetation, and doesn't contribute to the streetscape isn't something that, in my opinion, we should let that opportunity slip past us. I will also just like to comment that with all of the development activity and the desirability of High Street, it's unfortunate that that is really one of the last breaks in the pedestrian streetscape. And we just are seeking the city's development department to assist us in this process. What questions might you have about that?
So a thumbs up would be pro-development?
A thumb up would be, yes, Tanya, sign the letter. So Denison Place and Wineland Park sign a joint letter that says, we are seeking the City of Columbus's assistance to engage in a discussion with Kroger about the need to complete the approved site plan. Again, when Kroger opened in July of 2011, the plan stated they had 36 months, which never basically made it into the whatever the official ordinance was there. But the expectation was that by the summer of 2014, that building would have been constructed, and it has not. So we just want to say, hey, there was an approved plan, it wasn't followed. What could we do to help expedite something positive on that grass lot?
Okay, gotcha.
So the answer was yes. Hard question.
So thumbs up is yes, sign the letter.
Oh, she did a thumbs up sign. Oh, we're voting.
Yeah, we're voting.
Oh my
Voting?
gosh.
All right, thank you. It's a very generic letter. And by the way, we were given this advice from someone in the development department to write a draft letter and send it to Rob Dorans and CC the development department. So thank you for your input. Just wanted to share that. And Tanya, I will send you a copy of the letter that's already been signed by the Denison Place Civic Association. So thank you very much. That's it. Rob.
Right. Thanks, Matt. Great. Thank you, Michael. Okay, Catherine.
Good evening, everyone. And I know it's confusing. It says Tanya Long at the bottom of my little square, and I don't know why, but
did you know Tanya has a twin?
I sent you the link that I had confirmed to when you asked me, because I saw your email rather late. And when I saw it, I thought, whoa, do I have a doppelganger? What's going on? But you're a very cute doppelganger, so it's a good thing. Anyway, I'm glad you're here.
Messaging me privately, but message the other Tanya if you want to talk to her. So back in October, I reached out to Michael Corey with the Human Services Chamber. Every year I get a ton of phone calls about Christmas help, and he was incredible enough to reach out to every single nonprofit in the city to get a complete and updated list of all holiday help, all meal assistance during the holidays. Am I able to share my screen? Yes. Showing up. Can you guys see my screen? No. Okay. So I can also put this link in the chat. This is the humanserviceschamber.org, but it goes through every single nonprofit within the city of Columbus that is doing some sort of holiday assistance. This has been updated within the past 2 weeks because I know a lot of nonprofits are already running out of toys. They've reached their capacity. But as far as I'm aware, this is the most updated resource within the city of Columbus as far as Christmas programming and support. The city of Columbus's messaging for the public as far as holiday safety remains the same messaging that we gave out in Thanksgiving, which means stay in your own pod for the holiday when you're celebrating. Unfortunately, that means a lot of people may be alone if you live alone, but that is our statement that we are encouraging people to just celebrate within your own household to prevent the COVID spread. If you do hang out with extended family, we encourage social distancing in the house and wearing masks if at all possible. The city of Columbus has a specific COVID related link when you go to the main page. And if you click on COVID resources, it pulls up everything from testing site to food support, to rental assistance, to utility assistance, to information about Columbus City School programming. This is a great resource as your neighbors may be reaching out to you for assistance. There's older adult care and our social workers, as they receive information from nonprofits, they are continuously updating this information. And I will share that link with you guys as well. This is an important one with the Columbus Urban League. So if you have tested positive for COVID and you had to remain in your house for 14 days and there was a loss in your wage, that there may be some sort of assistance up to $1,200 to help supplement your lost wages. I believe I sent this to you all in an email earlier this week, but I really want to highlight this. This is something new that Columbus City Council and Columbus Urban League have done to help support people as they test positive, but hopefully not lose any wages. I requested a update from Officer Smith as far as crime. I have not received that back. I'm going to be following back up with him and hopefully can share all of his information in email to you all. And then finally, I know that there was, particularly over the summer, I got a lot of feedback about the alleyways in Wyland Park, excessive amounts of illegal dumping, bulk trash. Myself and Omar and the refuse manager for the area really worked closely together. I just did a drive-through 2 mornings ago and the alleys looked really, really good because we had a pot of funding that we could use to clean the alleys. And I did not find any problem alleys. I found problem houses, which I submitted 311 requests for. But overall, the alleys looked really good to me. And those are
Thank
all
you for doing that.
No problem. And those are all of my updates.
Yeah, you rock, Catherine. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
She does. Wonderful. And you're going to make sure we get that COVID-19 link.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't as in-depth before, so that would be great. And as it updates, will you make sure we get it?
Absolutely.
Because you normally do. So you rock. You're wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
This is Susan. I have a quick question. Is there anything being done about the homeless people in the neighborhood? Because there appears to be a spike in the area, and I just wanted to find out if, you know, if anything is being done to help them. Mhm.
Susan, one thing that is happening, this is Matt. The Columbus Coalition for the Homeless, the library, and the Downtown CID are partnering to create some warming stations around the city. And I believe one of the stations is at the St. Sophia Church. So just know that there's been an acknowledgement downtown, especially, that with libraries closed and places like that for people to spend the day in and warm up, that there's a need for that. I know the United Way, Columbus Foundation have both contributed to help bring those online soon.
Well, thank you, because like I know they've been camping out on our patio since the pandemic, and even in the parks, there appears to be a increase in the number of people that are homeless. And as the winter approaches, I just want to make sure that they're not overlooked, in that respect. And I realize that this is a problem not only in the Indianola Park, but throughout the city. And just wanted to know and make sure that, especially as we go into the holiday times, that we don't forget our neighbors, our homeless neighbors that could benefit from any kind of resources or housing or anything to that effect.
Yeah.
So it is important to note that it's a certain day in November that no individual can be turned away from a shelter unless, they were banned from the shelter, but otherwise no person can be turned away. There are overflow sites. So as long as they can get to a shelter, they will not be turned away from a shelter.
Oh, good. Okay.
That's great. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Catherine. And thank you, Matt Martin, for that information also about the warming stations. Did you say they would be throughout Wyland Park or throughout Columbus?
They are mostly in downtown and in neighborhoods around downtown. And I believe that one of the locations is going to be the Orthodox Church building next to Susan's building.
Okay. Good to know. I will be sharing that information as well. Appreciate it. Right. Anyone else? Well, I just want to say I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you all engaging in the conversations. I appreciate that you care as much about this community as we do. And the ones who don't live here but work here, just know that you are appreciated. And I think we get so passionate about it because we want Wyland Park to be the best possible place to live. And we're, we want to be a model community because you guys are model citizens and model residents. I'll say that. And it makes me really proud and happy to live here. So does anyone else have anything else to say? Old news, new news? All right, with nothing else being said, I want to wish everyone a fantastic holiday. And like Susan said, remember the less fortunate, do what you can for the homeless and those who are struggling, and just enjoy your holidays as much as you can. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Hey, that was cool. You should have left it on.
I was too slow.
I know.
Thanks for our goodie bag.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya, for our goodie bag.
Thanks for distributing those, Tanya.
Yeah.
I like
Happy
your hair.
holidays.
I like
Merry
your hair,
Christmas.
Susan. Susan, your hair looks nice. All right, adios.
Okay,
All
bye.
right, happy holidays.
Look at who was here.
Oh, so cute.
She was here. She was being so good towards the
Yeah.
end.
She
She's like, "Nope,
was.
I'm going to need some attention." But she could
Aw.
see me, so she was fine.
Oh, good. So cute.
All right.
All
Bye
right.
bye, everyone. Happy
See you
holidays.
later. Bye.
Bye bye.